Well, it was the longest apprenticeship in history, but King Charles III is here as our monarch. It's going to take some getting used to for everybody, including himself. The new sovereign's already faced criticism for his past record of asserting political opinions, as well as negative press this week about redundancies at Clarence House. He's also been lambasted by the traditionally sensitive corners of the internet for his frustration with the leaking pen. The late Queen reacted in the same way, asked the trolls. Well, probably not, but should King Charles face constant comparisons with his mother? Is it time to embrace King Charles for the man he is, rather than the woman that his mother was? Well, joining me now is King Charles's goddaughter, India Hicks, plus Tony and Esther are still here. India, thank you so much for joining me. You are going to be at the funeral. You're also going to be at the committal of the Queen's body at the very end of this extraordinary period of mourning. What are your feelings about all this as someone who's obviously so close to the family?
I think that we're seeing, in general, an overwhelming unification of people wanting to pay their respects. I think you've been highlighting a few incidences here and there. I think we can all agree that our kingdom, our Commonwealth and the world have come together to really thank an extraordinary woman for the job she did.
We now have to rely on an extraordinary man, which I think King Charles is, to be anything like as good a monarch as his mother, which will be an incredibly tough challenge for anybody. It doesn't matter. In my view, she was the greatest monarch we've ever had. Knowing him as you do, is he up to this job? Princess Diana famously said in the panorama, I think the top job will be beyond him. But it looks to me, from the first few days, it's not beyond him at all, and he's rising to his challenge.
I think what's interesting is he's so completely different to his mother, so that it'll be a blank canvas on which to paint his own picture, which is important. He will have a very strong queen beside him. We know that Camilla is a very strong woman. Look what she's survived already. And I think together they have a very good chance at doing an awful lot of good. And I think Charles has been vocal in the past about what he feels his passions. He was prescient in his view on ecology and the environment. He did things that none of us even began to think about. The word green, sustainability, all of that didn't exist.
But he can't do that now, can he?
He can't. But
and
what
do you think he can keep to that pledge?
I think that I'm an ambassador for the Prince's Trust.
Yeah.
I've been there for 2 years, so I've seen up close and personal the change that trust has done. It's been in place since 1976. Who imagined that he would be able to do that? That is now a global foundation. The astonishing amount of good it does is incredible. And I think that he can step away from that. That will continue to be its own motor, its own course. And he will be able to now step into the shoes that he has to fill.
Has he got to keep his temper when his pen's leaking?
I think he is someone who is grieving. He is exhausted. He has had to be on show publicly every minute of the day for the past 5 days. Yeah. It's an enormous thing to undertake. I think you're allowed to have a bit of a temper tantrum when your pen leaks.
I actually thought it was quite endearing. I've blown my stack over pens before, especially when they leak all over your hands. Tony, what do you think? I mean, you wrote a great piece today in The Sun, and it was about why the Queen was the biggest star of them all, bigger than the Beatles. I've always felt that. And you can judge it by the sort of overawed way that even American presidents behaved when they were around her. But Charles has got to start all over again now. You know, he's been this apprentice, but now he is king.
I think the reason hereditary monarchy works in this country is that every monarch earns the love of our people. And I think that the Queen, to me, what's incredible is that she became more important in her extreme old age. You know, she was absolutely... I can't remember one word that a politician or celebrity said during the COVID pandemic, but I can remember with total clarity those 2 4-minute speeches in the spring of 2020. Yes. 2 4-minute speeches, unless, you know, they're so brief, so devastating. You know, just those words. You know, our streets are not empty; they're full of love, seared into the national consciousness. Yeah, my parents were not monarchists. My parents were not royalists. But the photograph where they look happiest is when they were 20 years old, going to Buckingham Palace to meet King George VI to collect my dad's Distinguished Service Medal. Amazing. And they loved that king. They loved that shy, kind, brave king.
Right. And you were saying about your mother that she's on the verge of a quite extraordinary, possibly unprecedented triple coronation.
Well, and I love what you've just said.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be a monarchist to find pride in those moments. Yes. They're leaders. These are leaders of our countries, leaders of the faith and leaders in so many ways. Yes, my mum went to King George VI's coronation at a little green cape, and then she went to the Queen's. And if she has the stamina and the strength to survive another year, she could well be into her 3rd coronation. I think that's Guinness Book of Records.
I don't think anybody's ever done that. That's quite amazing. It's an amazing
She's
story.
an amazing person. She's the same breed as the Queen. They are extraordinary women who have survived in a tough old man's world. Think when the Queen took that throne, what she had to do, who she had to put up with Churchill.
You were a bridesmaid, weren't you, at Charles and Diana's?
I was.
What was that like? Do you remember it or not?
I remember it very well. It was amazing. I tell you what was amazing, looking back now at this grand old age of 55, was the crowds. And it's very rare that you see crowds who aren't grieving or aren't angry or aren't demonstrating.
Yes.
These were crowds who were at jubilate. They were in jubilation of the whole thing. And they were excited. And at that stage, it was a fairy tale wedding. We all believed the fairy tale was going to end in the most wonderful way. And that was really remarkable. A lot of people came out.
Yeah, amazing. Esther, the poll came out this week, very supportive of Charles, his popularity surging as people think he'll be a good king, from 30-odd% to 60-odd% in the space of 3 months. Yeah. So immediate reaction from the public, very, very positive. 94% loved his first TV address. The only issue he has is age profile of support. Younger people, under 50%, are supportive of him, whereas older people are much more supportive. What does he do about the young? Given he's 73, you know, my 10-year-old daughter looked at the TV and went, he's very old, this king, isn't he? Which she thinks I'm very old. What does he do about the youth? How does he connect with them?
I think it's kind of, he just has to settle into his role. I think people develop a love for the royal family when they actually connect with them on a personal level. You can't keep comparing him to the Queen because, you know, he's not 26, just married with kids, right? He's a lot older. So he just needs to settle into his role, and the love will come. He has to curate his own image and keep doing what he's been doing so well. That's why. And I also think if you look at sort of stratification as well, so it depends on sort of your community background, whether you come from a family that already loves the royal family, sort of what your allegiance is to I suppose, the Commonwealth and to the United Kingdom. That all plays a role in who warms to him.
Final word.
Well, I was going to have a thought there, which is I think that actually Charles and Camilla, it's a sort of fantastic four. They've got William and Kate.
Yes.
That's very powerful.
Yes.
William and Kate do have the attention
Totally
of
agree.
the younger generation.
I think we're in good hands. I think the bloodstock is good.